The origins of the Italian people are the Romans. So our story started more than 2,000 years ago. And the Romans had already two main capabilities. One was in technology. Imagine they built bridges, roads, sewing system that still are working after 2,000 years. And then the other capability was aesthetics. Think to the still existing mosaic that you can enjoy visiting Italy. So still now the Italian people has two main, I would say, competitive advantages. One, I call it genius, the capability of putting together technologies they seldom invent, but they are able to connect in a very original way. So this brings to important discoveries that Italians are able to do with quite small investment. So their productivity in innovation is very high. But the other important competitive advantage is aesthetic. And you will find aesthetics in the 3F, quite well known. So in furniture, in fashion, in food. And food is, of course, my main sector of activity, but I also know pretty well the other two Fs. The Italian companies need to compete, and they are competing in the global market, of course. If Italy was able to grow in the last decades, this is mainly due to the capability to export. It is one of the most important export countries in the world. And it is one of the most industrialized countries in the world. In Europe, only Germany is doing as Italy in terms of percentage of the GDP that is due to the industrial production. One of the characteristics of the Italian companies is that they are mainly small to medium. So SME is the tradition of Italy. And that means that to compete with the big players, with the public companies, with the global public company, we really need to have particular competitive advantages. And so one is quality, or let's say the ability to use aesthetics in a competitive way. And the most interesting model regarding quality is the one of Theodore Leavitt. He said you have three kinds of qualities. One is the requested quality, so the minimum level. If you go below, you won't accept the product. The second is the expected level of quality, so the one that the consumer is expecting for each product. But we are working on the third level, which is augmented quality. So the Italian companies, mainly SMEs, are trying to surprise the consumer with augmented quality, with something which is really special. So they innovate in a very particular way. You can innovate in technology or in quality, and you can innovate or in an incremental way or in a disruptive way. The disruptive technology concept is pretty well known. We in Italy developed the disruptive quality concept, which is based on four main pillars. The first point is that every, or let's say the majority of the consumer should recognize the superior level of quality, even if they are not an expert, not in fashion, not in furniture, not in food. They just see the furniture, touch the clothes, taste the food or the wine, and they will recognize the superior quality. This is the first pillar. The second is that to get this superior quality, you need to use the very best raw material existing. So no compromises in choosing, in buying the very best raw material. The third pillar is in the process of production. We use for disruptive quality a process which is different and normally incompatible with the one of the main player. So the main player won't be able to copy the quality of the small company producing disruptive quality. Fourth, I would say last but not least, is sustainability. It's not by chance that the majority of these companies committed in top quality are very attentive to sustainability, both social and environmental. So if you look at the production, for example, in wines, we will find that the large number of wineries are organic, so they are very keen to their employees. They are normally paying their employees better than the market. They have particular care for them. And this is an important aspect, especially in the last years when sustainability became an important topic for the consumer, an important element for choosing one product compared to the other. The large majority of Italian companies are family-owned, and I would say all the existing companies worldwide started as a family-owned company. Then sometimes they grow up and sometimes they became a public company. In Italy, the large majority of companies are family-owned. And this brings some elements that are very positive to sustain the idea of augmented quality. First of all, authenticity. When you can say, as for example the Antinori family can say, that since 6th century the same family is running a winery, so this gives you an example of what authenticity means. When they say we know how to grow up the vines, how to harvest the grapes, how to transform them in wine, and how also to deliver the wine in the global market, they can say we are doing this for 600 years. And this is really unbelievable. The second aspect is simplicity. I will make the example of the Italian cuisine. Our recipes are normally quite simple. I give just an example of pasta with tomato sauce. It's really something more than simple. You just have to cook the pasta, but you have to do it in the proper way, with the right time, not too much cooked, of course. Then you have to take away the water, but some humidity have to stay there. You have to use the right quality of tomatoes. You have to peel them, to pass them, and finally to get a wonderful sauce. And then you will add some olive oil. Not every kind of olive oil. It will be extra virgin olive oil produced maybe in the Lake of Garda area or in Liguria or in Tuscany. So we have several areas where the quality of olive oil, extra virgin, is really excellent. And finally, you will put some Parmesan cheese. So only 4 ingredients, a very simple recipe, but the results can be really unbelievable. So simplicity is one of the pillars of the top quality production in Italy. And then patience. To let a family-owned company grow, you need time. You cannot have a fast growth in few years, passing from maybe less than $1 million sales to 100 or a billion. You need time, you need decades, you need sometimes centuries. And also for producing many of the top quality goods produced in Italy, it takes some time. To make an example, we produce Brunello di Montalcino in Tuscany with a winery called Mastroianni. If we decide, and if we first get right doing this, to plant a new vineyard for producing Brunello di Montalcino, we will plant the Sangiovese Grosso vines maybe this year, and we will sell the first bottle of wine after 10 years. It will take about 5 years before the vineyard will be able to produce the wine. And then following the regulation of the Brunello di Montalcino, after harvesting the grapes and after vinification, you need 5-year aging totally. So you can sell the bottle only after 5 years. 5 plus 5 makes 10. So you really need to be patient to get the augmented quality that Italian companies, normally family-owned, are able to produce. But on the other hand, that means that they can last for a long time. So it is normally, in Italy, normal having companies that overcome 1 century of life, of history. And some of them, as I mentioned, for the Antinori family, but I could also mention the Beretta family, has more than 6 centuries of history. And this is really huge. This characteristic allows the small Italian companies to compete globally. Globalization helped these companies, so now we can send our products all over the world. Globalization in communication, that means the internet and the instrument we can use on the internet, like e-commerce, again facilitated these companies. And so this is really a moment very, very important for the Italian companies. Many of the Italian top quality companies are exporting more than 1/2 of their production. For example, in our group, Illy Cafe is about 2/3 of export, but also the winery, Mastroianni, is about 60% of the production that is exported. Let's say about 1/3 in the United States, 1/3 is sold in Italy, and 1/3 in the rest of the world. But this is quite common. And by the way, we are enjoying a particular moment of the Italian and of the global history where the Italian companies are well known. Made in Italy is considered the very best in the world. If you go to every big city worldwide and you ask which are the best 10 restaurants, probably 1/2 will be Italian restaurant. And so we are exploiting also this particularly positive moment for the Italian image. So Italian companies are helping the Italian country, but also the image of the Italian country is helping the Italian companies. The Italian companies are exporting mainly goods in the fashion sector, in furniture, in foods, also in the mechanical sector. And they are succeeding pretty well in the global market, so these are good times for the Italian country. But I think that the time's arrived to start exporting also our model, the model of augmented quality, of what I call incanto, so of the superior quality based on the 4 pillars I mentioned before. So we can start exporting our know-how, our model, and I think that it could be followed also in other countries that shares our values, our objectives. And I think that universities could be the right place to start distributing this new know-how. So I thank you so much for following me, and I wish you all the best for your future.